The night had a way of suffocating the house, pressing in with a kind of stillness that felt wrong. I was only 9, but even then, I knew that house was different. It was the kind of place where every shadow seemed to hold its breath, where even silence whispered things you couldn't quite hear. My mom, Grandma, and I were used to the oddness of it all, keeping to ourselves with only our small dog for company. We never really talked about the strangeness, but it lingered in the air like smoke. We stayed up late, always drawn to the hollow hours after midnight. That night, it was around 2 a.m. when the peace was shattered. A loud, desperate pounding echoed through the walls, shaking the stillness right out of the night. My mom and I froze, instinctively locking eyes, hearts thudding in unison. No one came around here this late, no one should have. She cracked the wooden door, just enough to peek through, leaving the iron one locked tight. And there, standing on the porch, was a young woman. She looked wrecked, hair wild, white jacket streaked with dirt, eyes darting around as if something might leap out of the shadows at her any second. Her breath came in ragged gasps, and when she finally saw us, it was like all her fear crystallized in that one moment. "Please," she begged, her voice trembling, almost breaking. "Please, let me in. I need to use your phone. I need help." She claimed she'd jumped out of her boyfriend's car, fleeing from him, running for her life. But her words were like shards of glass, jagged, dangerous. Bait. That's all I could think about. We'd heard the stories, the warnings. Women just like her showing up at people's doors in the dead of night, only for the trap to snap shut the moment they let their guard down. My mom's face was set in stone as she told her no. Told her we couldn't let her in. But she promised to call the police. That was all we could offer. The woman didn't argue. She just crumpled onto the porch steps like a broken doll, her knees tucked to her chest. She looked so small, so defeated, but we couldn't trust her. Not then. Mom called the police, the operator telling us to stay calm, to keep the woman outside. Her voice was calm, detached, like this sort of thing happened all the time. But then it happened, the scream. The kind of scream that curdles your blood. The woman shot up from the steps, her eyes wild again. And then we heard it too. The low growl of an engine creeping up the street. A red car, moving slow, its driver's face hidden in the shadows. But I could feel his eyes, on her, on us. The car crawled by like a predator surveying its prey, and then it was gone, swallowed by the darkness. "That's him," she whispered, her voice so quiet, it barely registered. "That's him." We told her the cops were coming. We told her to stay calm. But none of it felt like enough. The red car came back again, even slower this time, dragging its threat through the night like a blade. My chest tightened with every second, the weight of her terror sinking into the pit of my stomach. We should have done more. Should have opened the door and let her in. But we didn't. The car circled back one more time, and this time it stopped, just across the street. The window rolled down, and his voice slashed through the silence, harsh, cruel, dripping with control. "Get back in the car." The woman didn't flinch, but her defiance felt fragile. "No," she screamed back, her voice echoing with a kind of desperation that was more brutal than brave. That's when we cracked. Mom reached for the iron door, her fingers trembling as she unlocked it. We were going to let her in. We had to. But before the woman could step inside, the sharp wail of sirens cut through the tension like a knife. The red car bolted, tires screeching, vanishing into the night like a nightmare fading at dawn. The police arrived just moments later, blue and red lights casting eerie shadows over everything. The woman was shaking, the kind of trembling that comes when the adrenaline leaves and only the hollow fear remains. They took her statement, and we watched, numb, as they led her to the safety of their patrol car. It was over. Or, at least, that's what they told us. The woman didn't say much else, and we never asked her name. It didn't seem important at the time. But as they drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had failed her. The relief didn't last, and something dark settled in my chest, regret, maybe. Or guilt. Sometimes I wonder if the cops really helped her. If they ever caught her boyfriend or if she ended up back in that car the next day. People like him, they don't let go so easily. And people like us? We stay locked inside our houses, behind iron doors, listening to the echoes of someone else's nightmare, hoping it never comes for us next.